Good evening, great people of Africa. Good evening, great people of Biafra. I greet you and I salute you. You're welcome to this evening edition of the Affairs of Africa. Of course, while you are joining us, share the video, invite others to join. While you are joining us, share the video, invite others to join. We're using two different screens, so we are not going to be focusing on one. So wherever you are watching us from, share the video, invite others to join. If you're watching on Twitter, retweet the video. On YouTube, share the video. Don't forget to like the video first for the algorithm to do the better sharing. We are supposed to be live on TikTok, but of course, I don't know what type of verification process TikTok is going through for the past how many days, in fact, almost a week. So, but that is by the way. While you are joining us, share the video. Let us actually continue where we have stopped the last time. Of course, you can see the images in front of the screen. Welcome, Namdi Obi Ekezie. The images on the screen, it is part of what we're going to talk about. It is going to actually link us to exact thing that we're supposed to be talking about. So let's make it easier. If you join us, share the video, invite others to join. Of course, many of us are aware of the latest news coming out from Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali. Their plan to quit ECOWAS. Their plan to quit ECOWAS, and then they will it is not just something that they are thinking about, that they want to quit ECOWAS like yesterday. They want to quit ECOWAS like yesterday. That is exactly one of the things we are going to talk about. Now it is going to now raise a question. What is the reason why Tinubu went to France? What does Tinubu have to do in France when you see that there is insecurity ravaging all part of Nigeria? What exactly is he doing in France? So it is actually a question that many people are asking, because in this time around we have noticed, or it has occurred to me, that the president of Nigeria actually flew to France without anybody in Nigeria knowing exact reason why he went to France. And that is actually it will raise a lot of questions. Of course, you know that many of you made mockery of him being an old man. Many of you made mockery of him being sickly. So, in that aspect, and I saw many of you um, actually, complained about the traveling of his predecessor, that he was traveling too much for medical checkup. So I think, since that one was traveling too much for medical checkup, and then it has come to this point that since you have noticed that traveling up and down for medical checkup, because there is no adequate hospital facility that will be able to cater for the problem of the president or problem of the politicians. I believe it could be part of the reason why this particular person or this particular president does not want to disclose some of his trip because it could be a medical trip. It could be a medical trip. Now, not only a medical trip, it is actually using two stones to kill one stone to kill two birds. Why do I say so? His trip to France is not a coincidence that after the trip we began to hear that the trio military junta want to leave ECOWAS. And they just don't want to leave ECOWAS. They want to leave ECOWAS immediately. And I'm going to read that news before we we throw more light to it. I am going to read it to you. Then we throw more light to it before we go to the news of the trip. First of all, we all know the stories behind the military junta, how they overthrew their leader through a military coup. And then they overthrew their leader. They gave a reason that the leader is not actually on the side of the nation. This insecurity is ravaging the country. You find them being infiltrated militarily. You find people actually attacking them from left, right, and center militarily. Now, it has become very, very important to them that they have to secure their lives and the livelihood or the communities in their own countries because they perceive the danger that is ahead of them. So many of them, the brave soldiers, decided that now, since we have seen what is going on, and over the years, nothing has changed, things continue to be the same after the fall of someone like Thomas Sankara. Now, three of these military juntas, one after at a time, they actually took it upon themselves to challenge the status quo, to become the leaders of their country through a military coup. Now, immediately when that occurs, we saw the ECOWAS bloc rising up. We saw some African Union, members of African Union, rising up against this trio or against whichever one of them that carried out their military coup. They were against them. The sanction came from ECOWAS. They were sanctioned by the ECOWAS. ECOWAS is economic. ECOWAS is economic bloc, or will I say, in West Africa, which consists of 15 countries, right? Now, 3 countries are leaving ECOWAS bloc. What does that tell us? It means that let's just put it this way. This trio that are leaving ECOWAS bloc, they were sanctioned by ECOWAS. ECOWAS wanted to isolate them because of the move they made in order to overthrow their leader. Now, after isolating them, what we have seen over the years, after this isolation of ECOWAS, what we have seen over the years is that these 3 countries that are led by military junta, their economies are doing well, especially Niger Republic. It has actually recorded, I think the Niger Republic is the fastest growing economy in the West Africa. The fastest growing economy under sanction of ECOWAS. Under sanction of ECOWAS. The irony of it. Now, if ECOWAS sanctioned them and they still become the fastest growing economy in the region. Now, don't forget, last year they formed a federation. The trio formed a federation, and this year they are leaving ECOWAS bloc because they don't need them anymore. They were sanctioned. They were not supported. They were even threatened, and then these people decided that they will be on their own. And now they are on their own. They want to leave ECOWAS. What is the reason why they want to leave ECOWAS? And I know the primary reason why they gave that they want to leave ECOWAS, it is because they perceived ECOWAS to be a stumbling block in their path to freedom. They perceived that ECOWAS will be used against them on their quest to freedom. They perceived that ECOWAS will be used to sabotage them. They perceived, not my own perspective. That is their, that is exactly what they perceived. Now, in seeing the way things unfolded after the military coup, and I don't think, that what they are actually thinking is incorrect. Because as far as we know, the whole of ECOWAS were against this trio. Even the African Union were against this trio. I know it is not all the members in African Union. Some of the members of African Union were against them. Now, why were they against them? Some of them believe that military in their countries are going to learn from this and overthrow them. They were scared. They were insecure. Just like Rwandan president who decided that he will, you know, reshuffle his military, even put his relative into the military space so that they will be covering up for him. So all these things brought insecurity in African political space amongst the politicians. That's why many of them blindly stood against this trio. And at the end of the day, the real figure that was actually used to sanction this trio, it was to sanction Niger Republic basically, even disconnecting their electricity, blocking supplies. So it was the Nigeria president Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And all these things he did was going to work in the favor of the French. Now, today, he is in France. And being in France on a private visit, which the country back home does not know the reason behind the visit to France. And this trio announced, few days after this France this thing, that they are going to quit ECOWAS. And not just that they are just thinking about it, they want to quit it like as if it is yesterday. Now let us actually see the news and the reason that is coming out from the horse's mouth. Now let us read. While you continue to share the video, let us read. I'm not going to bring it to any of the screens. Okay, if I bring it to YouTube screen, it will not show on Facebook screen, but let me just not bring it to the screen. I'm going to read it. Now it says, military juntas, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso call ECOWAS bluff, quit bloc. The military regime in the three countries of Mali, Niger, Republic, and Burkina Faso yesterday announced their immediate withdrawal from the West African bloc. The Economic Community of West Africa States, ECOWAS, asserting that it had become a threat to the member state. The move appears to have taken the regional bloc aback and it came after protracted disagreement over military takeover of government in the three countries. The President Bola Ahmed Tinubu led ECOWAS had gone tough on the coup leaders in Niger, asking it to return power to the ousted President Bazoum, imposing economic sanctions and threatening military intervention. But the military leaders in Niamey did not budge. Instead, they received the backing of military juntas in fellow ECOWAS countries, Mali and Burkina Faso. In a statement they issued, the leaders of the three Sahel nations said it was their sovereign decision to leave ECOWAS without delay. Did you hear that? To leave ECOWAS without delay. Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger are founding members of the bloc in 1975 and were suspended from ECOWAS, with Niger and Mali facing heavy sanctions as the bloc tried to push for the early return of civilian government with elections. They said the sanctions were an irrational and unacceptable posture at a time when the three have decided to take their destiny in their hands. A reference to the coup that removed civilian administration. In the midst of the sanction, the three countries refused to shift their position and rather join forces in an alliance of Sahel state. So they are called the Sahel state. The leaders' joint statement added that 15-member ECOWAS, under the influence of foreign powers, betraying its founding principles, did you hear that? Pay attention, has become a threat to the member state and the peoples. They also accuse the regional body of failing to help them tackle the jihadists who swept into Mali from 2012 and then onto Burkina Faso and Niger under pressure from the military regimes. France has removed ambassadors and troops and watched Russia fill the void militarily and politically. So, the truth of the matter is that these guys, they perceive that ECOWAS regional bloc is going to be a stumbling block on their path. It is going to be a threat on their path. Like right now, they are tackling their insecurity, which erupted since 2012, where they actually seek support from even international bodies like France and other international organizations. Now they could not help them to tackle these jihadists, but today they have stood on their own. They are actually dealing with these jihadists on their own, and they are making a lot of progress. The irony of it is that all this block, ECOWAS block, this block, that block, at the end of the day, they could not stand firm to tackle a challenges that is befalling that region of the block region. So what is the essence of being the block? Because it looks like they are actually in the block to sabotage one another. Because having seen the complaint of these military juntas, of course, so many of you might say that it is a route of their escape. There is nothing they are escaping from. They are already sanctioned. So they have decided that they are leaving this ECOWAS bloc. Because ever since they started, dealing with insecurity, their challenges, it never helped them. Rather, it continued to sabotage them. So now they have decided to do away with this ECOWAS, and they have formed a federation. Now, let's continue to read. The French army's withdrawal from Sahel, the region along the Sahara Desert across Africa, has heightened concern over the conflict spreading southward to Gulf of Guinea, State of Ghana. Okay, Gulf of Guinea, State of Ghana, Togo, Benin, and Ivory Coast. The Prime Minister appointed by Niger's regime on Thursday blasted ECOWAS for bad faith after the bloc largely shunned a planned meeting in Niamey. Niger had hoped for an opportunity to talk through differences with fellow states of ECOWAS, which had cold, 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 like chilled, cold-shouldered Niamey, imposing heavy economic and financial sanctions following the military coup that overthrew elected President Mohamed Bazoum. Niger's military leaders, wrestling with the high food prices and the scarcity of medicine, have said they went up to 3 years for a transition back to civilian rule. They want up to 3 years for a transition back to civilian rules. In Mali, the ruling officers under Colonel Assimi Goita had pledged to hold election in February this year, but that has now been pushed back to an unknown date. Burkina Faso, which has not been put under sanction, although Captain Ibrahim Traore seized power in September 2022, has set election for his summer, but says the fight against the insurgency remains the top priority. So there is no certain date for the date of for election to take place because they are focusing on the fighting the insurgency. Because if you will understand now, the insurgency is now going to increase, even though they are making progress in tackling those insecurity. Don't forget that they are only going to increase because, of course, we know what we are dealing with. We are not dealing with this. This crisis are not just it is man-made crisis. Of course, we know that these people, those terrorists in the bushes, they are actually human being. But this type of human being, they are different from normal human beings. So for them to be created, it is people who has power to act that actually backs these people up. These are human animals. That's what I can call them. So those who backs them up, because these people that actually carry guns and move around, borders and terrorizing the communities, they are not actually, educated. These are destroy brains, destroy minds of, it is aftermath of colonialism. So it created this, institution where they will be able to pick up people who are uninformed, people who are who have a small mind. They will now reform them into being a weapon against their own people. So that's exactly what is going on. That's exactly what we have seen ravaging the Sahel region over the years, or in fact, over decades. Now it has become very, very imperative to the people, the Niger leaders, the junta leaders, to tackle this insecurity without hoping on anybody to help them. But by doing so, they have made a lot of progress, and their complaint is that ECOWAS is dancing to the tone of the neocolonialism. That ECOWAS regional bloc is dancing to the tone of neocolonialism. So they are not the ones making decision inside their bloc. Their decision is always influenced by external power, by peripheral power. So who are those powers that are influencing the decisions that are made by the ECOWAS, which they are supposed to have a binding, solution or agreement that will help them help them tackle their own challenges, tackle their insecurity. But that is not the case. It has always been about the Western, powers controlling the narrative of all these African organizations. Why is it so? Because the people that are representing you in this organization and regional blocks, they are biased leaders who are already captured by the Western control. Now, how do they capture them? Like I will always say, you see, especially most of the countries, like, you know, there are countries you see today, they are, physically poor, but technically the countries are very rich. Countries like Zimbabwe, who are they've been under embargo of Britain, or is it the US? Now, what makes these countries rich, very rich? It's not, of course, when you are under sanction, your economy is not doing well. Now, what makes them rich technically? Because what we see is that they are poor. What makes them rich technically is that all their SOEs are actually still SOEs. It is not actually, there is no privatization, nothing. It is, everything is still owned by them. They are no longer being, they are not being controlled by multinationals. Because what I have understood about these multinationals that we have seen, ever since we become conscious, it is about these multinationals being used to hijack the SOEs, state-owned enterprise. Now, they will actually, these people, they do money, they have money. They have money, you can never actually compete with them when it comes to money. So they don't mind actually taking out money to sabotage these SOEs so that the SOEs will go into their hands to manage, to control. Now, everything becomes more expensive. Everything becomes more expensive. Now, when they become expensive, now it will never change the money that you are getting as a salary from your workplace, but it will change now your expenditure. Now you see, now you continue to get poor. Instead of gaining, when you gain a promotion at your workplace, it doesn't even, make any difference because everything is getting more expensive. There is no, organization that is now managed by the government. Many organizations, many, enterprises are being managed by the multinationals. Now, of course, sometimes they will use the face of a black face to buy it. Now, when you look at the country like Nigeria, Nigeria is a country that has everything to be rich. Nigeria is a country that is, multinationals are there, but multinationals are not the ones that create most employment in Nigeria. Countries that multinationals create the most employment are the countries that, for them to come away from this power of, neo-colonialism, it will take them, centuries. It will take them centuries because everyone is dependent on multinationals to create job opportunities, to create employment. Even the state is also dependent on multinational to rescue the state-owned enterprises in order to create more jobs for people and make it to be stable. Now, in this regard, you will find out that all these powers that are supposed to be vested in your leaders are vested on the multinationals. Now you will find out that if these multinationals are from Germany, Germany will have a lot of say in the leadership of the country, more than most of the political leaders. because they control the economy. If you piss them off, they will tell you, they can even wake up to tell you, if you can't do what we want, and we are going to make 100,000 lose their job in the next 48 hours. Imagine when someone tell you that. As a leader who knows or who care for your own people, what are you going to do? You wouldn't have a choice. You will dance to their tone, because if 100,000 people lose a job, you will be the one to be blamed. Now you have to dance to their tone. Now, what about countries that are not dependent or doesn't care? Countries like Nigeria. I know that multinational will not wake up to tell Nigeria, if you don't do this, we will make 10,000 people lose their job. Nigeria doesn't care about their own citizen. So they are not being controlled by this multinational. They are being controlled by money. Money. They are not actually, being controlled because they are scared that multinational will make people unemployed. But they are being driven by paper, fiat money. Once you are ready to give them money back, they are ready to dance to your tone. Once you are ready to, protect them, hide the money bags, laundering for them, they are ready to work with you through thick and thin. So you see the power of, aftermath of colonialism, which is the neo-colonialism. It is not supposed to have a grip on Nigeria, because the leaders in Nigeria does not care about their voters. They don't care about the people. That's why you will not see a good hospital. Whenever a leader is sick, they just take themselves abroad, because they don't care about you. Everything they want, they get it. Everything they want, they receive it. So in doing so, what is the problem of Nigeria is the greed and the British status quo. And that same problem was the same problem that these countries, you see them as military juntas, they were facing. Then they decided that no, this is the only way we can solve our problem. My voice is low. Is my voice low? Oh, the Chinedu, you said my voice is low. Where is it low? I know you're writing on Facebook. Where is my voice low on Facebook? I don't think so. I don't think so. That my voice is low on Facebook. It should be coming out. So, the most important thing is that these people, they were facing the same challenges just like Nigeria is facing. Just like Nigeria is facing. It is the challenges of somebody being in a position of power. The only thing they want to be there, even though they have no idea of what is leadership, what is politics, what is foreign policies. These leaders, they have no idea. They have no idea to how to take advantage of their foreign policies, or how to, govern, or how to make things work, or how to care for the people who voted for them. It is not in the top of their agenda. All they want is that they want to be moving with their bodyguards. They want to do anything they want to do. As long as the money bag is coming, you can actually, that means they are not the people in charge. They are not the people in charge. So if the status quo of Nigeria is actually correct, Nigeria is not supposed to be suffering from the hand of neo-colonialism, because they have no reason for that. They have no reason for that, because the status quo is rooted, and the joint of these different nations that, will I say, historically had never gotten along with each other. Historically, If you could remember what Joe Biden said the day, what was this country that um, this is it Arab country that removed America from their, the it's not Iran. It's a country that is also close to Iran. It's not Iraq. What is the name of this country? This country that actually people were running after the plane that is moving, that was moving that time when they um what was the name of that country in Arab world? So what Joe Biden said there, um, he said that these are different, set of um, derogatories or that have never gotten along with each other. That's what he said. If you go back to the speech of Joe Biden, this Afghanistan, yes. The day Afghanistan started their own, revolution, well, I said, whatever they did, I don't know what I will call it, but the day they started this eviction of American soldiers, the Joe Biden statement was these are different set of derogatories who had never gotten along with each other. So it made me also, to know that they know that the only way to keep a country or a nation destabilized is to bring different people who does not get along with each other and make them one. And you continue to advocate for the unity of these people that you have forced to be one. What the only thing they will focus on is unity. They will never focus on the economic growth or progress of the country. They will never focus on the transitioning of the country from the, to actually have um, economic opportunities, to have or to benefit with this fourth industrial revolution, or even to create their own revolution or to have their own revolution. You will never ever think about it. The only thing you continue to think about in Nigeria today, it is peace and unity. Peace and unity. All about peace and unity. In your national flag, a national anthem, peace and unity. Why do you have to be talking about peace and unity all the time instead of talking about growth, instead of talking about transitioning into the fourth industrial revolution, instead of talking about innovation? You are talking about peace and unity. How long are you going to continue talking about peace and unity? And peace and unity, you have never achieved it after 60 years, 6 decades of independence. You have never achieved this peace and unity. Have you now seen that what you have is a system that is actually purposely or deliberately created, that you will continue to chase after peace and unity without, chasing after the future of the nation, and it will never come to, realization. The future of the country will continue to be in a limbo because there is a status quo that will only push this nation to look for peace and unity that does not exist, to look for economic social cohesion that will never exist. These people are actually those these people are different set of people. They are not compatible religiously. They are not compatible politically. They are not compatible, they are tribalistic. Like tribalistic. If you I remember when we were growing, when we were growing up, if we hear that Hausa man want to marry Igbo woman or Igbo woman want to marry Hausa man, it will be like we are it will be like something that is unusual. Or you hear that Igbo man marry a Yoruba woman. We don't have a problem. We do this marriage, but what about the Hausas? You go marry Nyamli people. Or what about Fulanis? There was a video of a Fulani girl in Biafra land I was watching. He said before you will marry her, she need to convert you first. A woman, no. But there is a saying that says a woman does not have a religion or have a woman does not have religious denomination or affiliation until they get married. That adage is always being used within Nigeria territory. Now, but that woman, Fulani woman, say you have to change you. Is a young girl that they will change you first before you marry them. So have you not seen that there is no compatibility in a situation whereby you call yourself a country, but you cannot easily have this marriage among each other? That is not a country. There is economic disparity, there is terrible disparity, there is there is disparity in every sector. Any person that achieves the position of leadership, the next thing they will become, it is all about them and their pocket, their own family. If there is a government, space to get or to disseminate job opportunities, it will be, favoritism will now click in. It will now click in. Nepotism comes in. It is my own. It is our own. This is for the Yoruba. Oh, this one is for the Fulanis. I don't know Hausa. I never hear from Hausa. This one is for the Fulanis, or they will tell you Hausa Fulani. So that is how it has been. How do you want to actually make a progress as a nation in the last 60 years? There has never been any, thing that is done to show that you are a progressive nation. The only time you were reported as the fastest growing economy, forces came from all corners of the earth to fight you during the time of Goodluck Jonathan regime. So now, have you now seen that the only way you can deal with this boogeyman that is on us, that is on you, it is through boycott and innovation? And that is exactly the route that the three military juntas are taking. Boycott and innovation. That is the route that they are taking. And they continue to kick back on all this Western power. All this Western power. If you know, they expelled 15 members of the European Union capacity building mission. Capacity building mission. They expel them. In fact, it is Niger Republic, expel them. They don't play these people. They don't have time to negotiate with the oppressors. They don't have time to negotiate with the people that are perceived to be, this enemy that we don't see. They don't have time to negotiate with them. The thing they do is boycott and innovation. And that is the only way we will be able to win this fight. Boycott and innovation. Of course, you will see that every person that they have actually put in your place in your political space, they don't have that spirit of boycott. They don't have spirit of innovation. That's why you will see them continuously running abroad for medical checkup, running abroad for medical bed, running abroad for giving birth, running abroad for everything. You cannot make a dependent person a leader, because they will not take you anywhere. And the only reason why you continue to recycle failure in the various countries that are colonized in Africa, it is because you believe that your leaders are not supposed to be held to account, and you kept quiet for a very long time. Now if you open your mouth, you will be killed by your leaders. Look at Nnamdi Kanu. Where is he today? In a DSS solitary confinement, even after the court of competent jurisdiction set him free. They continue to hold him. Appeal court came into the picture. Appeal court actually insulted the justice system of Nigeria by telling you that he should go back to the lower court. A five-man panel of judges. The decision came from two. It is not unanimous decision. This decision came from two biased ones. The other ones were against the decision, which makes the appeal court verdict null and void. Yet you will see this type of things trending in Nigeria because, number one, the leaders are not after, they are not, interested in justice to prevailing, because they do not want anybody to call them to account. They don't want anyone to call them to account. If you call them out, they will take your head. If they cannot take your head, they place you in a solitary confinement so that, as an example to others who might want to call them out, so that they will think twice. But if you continue to be scared because you might be killed or you might be placed in a solitary confinement, you will continue to recycle failure. Because it takes you rising up and you speak something, motivate others to rise up, to demand for what is rightfully theirs. What is rightfully yours is that status quo that is created by Britain, that control of, that aftermath of British colonization that is still now all over the place, that is making your president to run to France, maybe for a medical checkup and to seek for advice how to deal with military juntas. And he will not tell the country that I am leaving to go for medical checkup. Rather, he will call it a private visit to France. Who does that? It is like a president of United States will now wake up to one morning and tell you that he is going to maybe Belgium, private visit. It will never ever happen. That's where you will see opposition parties that are active. That's where you will see opposition parties that are active. He must give account to what he is using the taxpayers' money, because it is not his money. The plane that he's using is not his plane. It is the national plane. The pilot is using is not being paid by him. It is being paid by the national cake, from the national cake, the taxpayers' money. That's what is funding all these things he's doing. It is not his. He has no right to just take off and tell you he's going to a private visit. To do what in France? He doesn't have his own authority right now to tell you, no, I'm going to a private visit. He could have lied and said, no, there is a business proposal between France multinationals and Nigeria. So he could have looked for something, but because he doesn't regard you as nobody, that is the reason why he will wake up and tell you he is going on a private visit to France. It does not happen in any part of the world except Africa. Not all the African countries, though. Nigeria, the giant of Africa. Of course, if Nigeria is giant of Africa, their leaders are going to be the giant of the leaders, who does what they, as they please. They do as they please because they have no one to call them to account. They have no one to call them to account. And they are this type of, leaders. There will be, once you have a giant of Africa, being a failure? Do you really think that every other part of Africa is going to be a success? That is the reason why you see these three wise men. You see these three wise men, military juntas. Not only that they have decided to stop this democratic process, the three wise men decided that they are going to remove themselves from all this economic zone or all these organizations, the bloc, the ECOWAS, because they perceive danger from these people. It did not take them 2 minutes for ECOWAS to sanction Niger Republic, even not considering the faith of ordinary people on the ground. They just sanctioned them. But now you will see hypocrisy of these African countries. They will rise up and tell you America is sanctioning countries like Zimbabwe. America is sanctioning countries like Russia. America is sanctioning countries like Cuba. America is sanctioning countries. They will tell you, like North Korea. You will see them telling you that the Americans' embargo on countries is just unjust. But what actually prompted ECOWAS sanctioning Niger Republic? Because Niger Republic took a revolutionary move that will help them to move away from this stronghold of neocolonialism, which is the most dangerous colonialism. They want to reset the status quo. They want to have the decision made by themselves. The same economic bloc of West Africa stood up and sanctioned them immediately without any investigation of the reason why this thing happened. They did not even do consultation, but every other thing they have to do, just sanction them. The reason why Tinubu was made the ECOWAS president, it is for him to stand as a strong body, giant of Africa, president of the giant of Africa, so that he will be able to deal with these people. That's why he was made. And that is the reason why he's always going to France secretly, without telling you what he's going there to do. Because he's being controlled by France. America interest is also there. British interest is also actually sitting, waiting. It is the master interest, the master plan interest. Because their multinationals is already there, in charge of your oil sector, in charge of your mining sectors. So, like, how do you think you are going to escape all these things? That is the reason why we are solidly behind these three wise men they called military junta. We are solidly behind them because we know that this is a revolutionary move that they have taken, revolutionary step that they have taken to cure this illness of parasite called neocolonialism. And they are succeeding. Let's just, many of us will say that they are running from one boogeyman to another boogeyman because they have support of Russia. How many countries in Africa has been invaded by Russia? If I may ask. Even when they even, how many countries in Africa has been invaded by Russia? None. None. Absolutely. So, what is it that Russia does not have? They have many things. They have oil, they have gold, they have resources, other resources. So, in seeing what is going on, it is about making use of the enemies of your enemy, taking advantage of the help of the enemies of your enemies to fight your enemy. Number one thing you need to know, if your leaders claim they want to fight enemy, they need to identify the enemy. They need to identify which area the enemy is attacking from. Most African countries, the enemy that is attacking them is using multinational. is through multinationals because they are the owners of their economy. They are called the capitalists, the owners of their economy. And the multinationals are not actually the problem in Nigeria. The problem in Nigeria is that amalgamation. Amalgamation and the greedy dogs. That is the problem in Nigeria. Multinational is not the problem in Nigeria. It is amalgamations and the greedy dogs that are in the political space. Those are the problem in Nigeria. If you wake up one morning and say, hey, let everyone who want to leave, or in fact, had it been Nigeria leaders were wise, we wouldn't be talking about secession. Nigeria was going to be a confederation. Nigeria was going to be a true confederation, confederative state, where everybody, I believe is confederative, yeah, where everybody manage their own things. Because what you see happening in Nigeria today, where military will come from nowhere, go to Biafra land, start shooting at people sporadically, start shooting at communities sporadically, it is because the power is also actually, on the same on one person, one power, which actually renders the powers of the governors, powers of traditional rulers, powers of every other person useless. They are just there ceremonially. They are not there to actually make decision because the decision of the president overrules their decision. So that's why you will see military coming into communities. Governors are watching. They have nothing to say. Their hands are tied. They can't say anything because one thing there is the problem of all these governors. They are also interested in only the power because they know that they will have economic opportunities into their stomach and pocket. So that's why you will not see them rising up to complain. How can we be here? Military will come from nowhere, go into a community, start shooting sporadically. No matter how crime is prevalent in such communities, no military have right to come into a communities and start shooting sporadically with a machine gun, destroying houses with a machine gun, shooting everywhere. Does it mean there is no children in those areas? Where are the human rights activists? Where are the human rights advocates? Do you have them in Nigeria? No, you don't have them. Because if you do, they will rise up in the case of Mazen Namdekan. But you don't have them. Everyone is biased. Everyone is biased. It is a pity. A young military with ill-experienced young military, they will deploy them, or even terrorists. Captured terrorists, they will claim he has repented. Deploy them into Biafra land. They will go into communities. They will start shooting sporadically. It is not done. What is the essence of them being military? Why can't they capture the criminals? So shooting sporadically into communities, into bushes, into houses of people belonging to communities, killing people. Of course, you know that poor people does not, come to the news, except if we see it. Of course, social media made it so difficult. You cannot show them on social media. So there is no way you will see you will be able to show the atrocities of these people. They will do their own things. They will walk away. The same thing these terrorists are doing in the northern state of Nigeria. That is the same thing militaries are doing in Biafra land. It is the same thing that is happening in the Middle East. The whole world is crying. This same thing has been happening to us. Military goes into our communities and kill people, shoot sporadically at people. The same thing happened to us in 1968. Genocide. More than 3.5 million women and children died. No one talks about it. It happened to us. So how do you think that this type of country is actually going to wake up one day and have a development? It is impossible because people are not given opportunities through merit. People are given opportunities through nepotism. The highest bidders take it from the when it comes to INEC, Independence Electoral Commission. When it comes to INEC, the highest bidder takes it. So who do you run to? You have no one to run to. You see these three wise men. That is the reason why we will continue to support them. They are wise. They are wise. You will be surprised that those countries you saw as a small country, like Niger Republic, they will be the first country to gain their full independence in Africa. It will be a shame to the so-called giant of Africa, whom their president ran to France without telling the country where he's going or what he's going there to do. With you and I's money. It is not his money. Because so many of you believe once you become a president and everything becomes yours. Nothing is his. Not even the seat he sits in Aso Rock that is his. It is not his. It is you and I's money. So he has no right to use that money the way he please. He has no right to jump into a plane and leave the country the way he please because he's not doing it in his own money. He is doing it with the state funds. State funds belong to you. But you let him do it. He does it. Not even how this human rights organization will rise up and question the activities of the Mr. President to show you that what you have is Islamic failed nation. That's what you have in Nigeria. Islamic failed state. And you cannot argue it. You will never argue it. That's exactly what you have. For you to get out of this mess, it is time. Because it is from frying pan to fire. That's what will be the slogan. Frying pan to fire, fire to frying pan to fire, fire. That is what it is always going to continue to be. It will continuously be frying pan to fire. You will never get it right until you get your mindset right, until you understand the ethics. If you don't get it, if you don't understand the ethics, if you don't understand your right as a citizen of your country, there is no way you will get it right. This is not about tribe. And is a Yoruba is my brother. Huh? And my brother now. All these Fulanis, they did it for many years. Who nobody questioned them. Now my brother, you go come question. Because it is always about which tribe is going to be the president. Now my tribe, now it is our turn. It is our turn. That is the reason why I tell you, you will never talk about, innovation. You will always talk about peace and unity. Because this our turn will bring you to talk about peace and unity. This tribalistic of the country will always make you talk about peace and unity. Instead of talking about revolution. Industrial revolution. You will never talk about it. You will continue to talk about peace and unity. That is how you are actually positioned to be. The only way you can change it is changing your upstairs. Changing your upstairs, your mind. The way you see things is not the way they are. You have the right to change your story. The same way these three wise men, military juntas of Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali, decided to change their faith. Decided to change their faith. And today, I believe that they're slowly but surely, for Niger to be one of the fastest growing economy in Africa, isn't that something that you should actually, consider as an evidence that something is actually fishy? Something is fishy. All these years they have the help of France. All these years that France is nursing them, all of them, they were not growing economy. They were never growing economy. But immediately when they chase France away, they become fastest growing economy. And that's why they have to leave ECOWAS. Because it's going to be a stumbling block. Because ECOWAS is being controlled by the international power. By the international power. That is it. Where is the parliament of Nigeria? That is the reason why. Let me see what they say. PDP LP asked question on Tinubu's France private visit. Let us hear it for you to see the failed Islamic State you have as a nation in Nigeria. The People Democratic Party and Labour Party on Wednesday demanded an explanation as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu departed Abuja for France on what the presidency described as a private visit. The PDP Deputy National Publicity Secretary, Abdullahi, Ibrahim Abdullahi, he never asked this question, or let me put it this way. Ibrahim Abdullahi, I don't know if he had, they asked this question when Buhari was 6 months away and another impostor came in. They never asked this question, but because he's a Yoruba man, they have to start asking this question. Now, I want you to know, without being biased, judge the situation. Without being biased. I know I don't like, I don't like any leader in Nigeria because they are not leading. Now, judge this situation. Ibrahim Abdullahi is asking this question. Who asked that same question during the time of Buhari? 6 months out of the office on a medical tour. Before they package the one they package and bring back. So, if it is Fulani man, it is good for Fulani man to be going to whatever he like. But now it is a Yoruba man, they have to question him. At least if it was a Yoruba man or Igbo man questioning this travel, it will actually make sense. So I'm telling you, unbiased, it will make sense. You know why? Because Fulanis, they are the ones who showed us that the president can go out of office for 6 months. For 6 months. Without even giving power to the vice. Are you? Is it not what you saw during the Buhari administration? So if there is any person or any ethnic group that is supposed to ask this question, it is not Fulani or Hausa Fulani. It is not them. But let us continue to read. Ibrahim Abdullahi stated that the insecurity and the state of the nation's economy made it the worst time for Tinubu to embark on a foreign trip. This was as the spokesman for the LP Labour Party 2023 Presidential Campaign Council, Unisa Tanko, Yunusa Tanko, alleged that there was a hidden agenda for the trip and mentioned that the president was sick. President was sick. Medical trip is a private trip. Medical trip becomes a private trip to France. Now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Wednesday departed Abuja departed Abuja for Paris, France, for a private visit. The special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, revealed this in a statement. President Tinubu travels to France. Although the statement did not state the reason for the visit, Ngale said he will return to country in the first week of February 2024. Wednesday's visit was Tinubu's third to France since he assumed office 8 months ago. 8 months ago. France is where he go and get his secret medical checkup because he cannot build a hospital. The power that is holding Nigeria down will never allow president to install hospital that will cater for him. Rather, because you call him Baba no, well, he go shout to Emilio Con. Because you told him that, you mock him. And he decided now to make it a private visit to swing into hospital in Paris while people are dying on a daily basis in your hospital. People are dying on a daily basis in your hospital that is ill-equipped. Ill-equipped that if you want to get injection, you have to go to outside the hospital to quack chemist that is around the corner to buy the toto, to buy injection they will give you in the hospital. This is a giant of Africa. A giant of Africa. 200 and something million people being held on a ransom. Does it mean amongst these 200 and something million people, none of them knows, how to hold their leaders to account? Does it mean these 200 and something million people that are all docile, they don't know their right? They are not educated, or they are ill-educated, of course. They are ill-educated. Maybe the ones that are actually, maybe educated, maybe they are all abroad chasing their talent. The ones that are, on the ground, they are ill-educated. That's why they don't know when to call these people to account. Everyone is scared. They have given you now social media a route of escape. Start creating content, start being naked, start dancing, start doing something that will never benefit your next generation on social media in the name of job hunting or job seeking, because that's exactly what justifies what you are doing in the social media space. It is not going to be beneficial to your posterity. Now, it is justifiable because your leaders does not create job opportunity. You will finish school all your life, and at the end of the day, you come and fill into this, jobless group. You are not doing nothing. So social media is now a escape route for all of you. In the name that you are a social media influencer. Ilipant, mandi gave on our social media. What the hell is that? If you have your toy to play with, to the extent that our women who used to be, actually the talk of town, anywhere you are, you will be hearing that now, ka a ga na-agwazi gị na nwaanyị abroad kazi nwaanyị be anyị mma na nke a na-ekozi m. And ịnekwa anya nwanne, ị na-anya ma akụkọ ma ndị ajego n'okpogote, ịfụkwa na nwaanyị abroad ka nwaanyị be anyị ma at least ha dị open. Ị ga amagodo ihe nke amvụ n'obi, mana nwaanyị be anyị ozoli aka secret until atụwa ime, ọ mgbe aka secret ya ga-cast. If you go to fana hapụtazi na media space fevula amụ na-akụ na-etu amụ alụrụ afa. What is that? What the hell is that? The kids are watching. Useless set of human beings. You find this, what do you call it? Wardom. If I know now, wardom. Our women. They don't have respect for themselves. I know not all of them. It is not all of them. But those ones who believe that they have seen road into social media space. Because social media, the reason why, what social media is there to rescue you from, this poverty institution. Not only to rescue you in the name of rescue, it pays you money, right? But what you do there, how beneficial is it to your posterity? Zero. Rather, it destroys your next generation. It destroys your next generation. And what if a balulu and a social media, especially in the buy? And what if a balulu fan media? Go to China. Algorithm does not bring those rubbish to them. Are they me? But even Africa, because they were all, and it is justifiable because they were all. Onye unu welu president na-enwere anything on a brain ya. Unu ewele ame president in African countries. People who are not experienced, who cannot even lead a home, but they will lead millions of people. And these millions of people they were leading, historically, these people were not led by one person. They can never be led by one person. Everybody is a king in their own community. You have your own communal kings and leaders that will represent you wherever. But the colonialism came, everyone now, millions of people is led by one person. One person taking all the powers. What do you think they will do with it? They will abuse it. If you talk, a good leader is not scared of criticism. But the evil leaders will always be scared of criticism. That's why Nnamdi Kanu is a no-non today. Because the evil leaders are scared of him criticizing them. Evil leaders. And it is his right and your right and my right to criticize them. Because they are nothing without you giving them the authority to be there. Don't you know? So if you cannot criticize them, what the hell are you calling them leader for? They are not your leader. They are leaders of themselves. They are not under democracy. If you cannot speak your mind under so-called democratic dispensation, it means you are joking. You guys, we are fooling ourselves here. Let's just call it a quit. Because the fate of Nnamdi Kanu will be your fate tomorrow. But the fate of Nnamdi Kanu should not be a discourage to you. It should be an encouragement to you. Because when it becomes an encouragement to you, eventually those who are killing you for speaking the truth, they will get tired for killing you in speaking the truth. It is not about what you live for, it's what you you died for. If you live to die for the sake of restoring a nation that your children are going to be part of, are going to benefit from, if you restore it good, if you make it good, dude, you died for something that is priceless. But if you say, that's why the Bible say, I know many people quote Bible out of context, but Bible remains number one. And the reason why people quote it out of context all the time, because they don't understand the chronology behind every text in the Bible. Bible deals with context and chronology. It deals with context and chronology. It's a particular incident that occur in a particular time. Maybe the next chapter will now tell you another incident or another rule, another law that was amended, that was passed in a particular incident. People will now bring it together and tell you Bible said in Deuteronomy and the other one said in Exodus, that they are contradictory to each other. If you don't understand the book, it will always be contradictory to you. You must understand the context. You must understand the chronology. It is not for unlearned. The people who are using it to say they are pastors, they are unlearned. They are unlearned people, rather. That is the reason why, the Bible said, if you try to protect your life, you lose it. If you always about I don't want to die, you I don't want to die, you let me run. I don't want to die. You will lose that life because you are always up again or up for protecting that life. You have never been up to actually make this life worth living for you. So you will eventually die. It's either you die of poverty, bad leadership, or you die of anything. Those things that you don't want to come to join hand in fixing, maybe it will be the one that will kill you when you are not conscious of it. Because you can never be conscious of at all time. So if you try to protect your life, you will lose it. If you don't rise up to to actually make it better for your posterity, how you make your bed so you lie on it. Death is not actually the end of it. Death is not actually the end of it. If you know Africa, we reincarnate. We reincarnate. So death will not take away that thing you are running away from. It will always bring it back to you. That's why if you have diabetes, another generation will have diabetes. Someone in another generation will have diabetes. You see the way it actually, circles back. That is the way life is. You will still come back. That unfinished business you had, you will come and finish it. So when they tell you that I will visit the first and third generation with the sins of the fathers, I will still have a topic for that. You should understand that the apple does not fall far from the tree, because your children will not hesitate to behave like you. It is the same gene that is actually, the same gene that is mutating. The same gene is mutating. So there is no way you will not behave like your father. Regardless of what you say, let me start going to church. I want to be holy. And my father, people say my father is your father will be in you. It will always be in you, except if it's not your father, because he's your father. So apple can never, fall far from its tree. So that's why God will deal with you because of the sins of your father, because you will always behave like your father. There is always a 95% likelihood that you will behave like the same as your father. So that is actually the reason why I say Bible deals with context and chronology. Accurate. If you understand it, you understand the accuracy of the book written by our ancestors. Not the white man with blue eyes, or these people who call themselves James, John, Peter, Paul. Because all those names were also translated. They were also translated, given to the best suited name of those who will appear to be our God. And they have become our God today, and we are calling them our Father. Because we depend on them to give us generator. We depend on them to give us a car to drive. We depend on them to give us a cloth to wear. We depend on them to give us a shoe to wear. We depend on them to actually give us a president to govern us. Because they are the ones giving us president to govern us. Why do you need to go to Chatham House before you become a president in Nigeria? This is where I'm going to leave it. It is time for revolution. Time to boycott and innovate. It is time to boycott and innovate. Otherwise, we continue to wallow in our, predicament, in our ignorance. We're not going anywhere until we boycott and innovate. Until we boycott and innovate. Many of us are waiting for United Nations come and help us. International community come and help us. They are not helping you anything. You don't see what is going on in the Middle East. Even South Africa took Israel to the International Criminal Justice, International Court of Justice. What happened? The UN is crying that they do not have what it takes to enforce against Israel to stop the genocide, the perceived genocide, or the alleged genocide that is being committed against the Palestinians. They say they don't have the capacity. So what are they for? You ask yourself, what are these organizations established for? If they cannot intervene for the sake of humanity, what are they sitting there for? There is nothing. 1967 to 1970, 3.5 million, over 3.5 million were killed by Gowon and Britain. What are they for? There is nothing they are there for. So they should close. Everybody will determine their fate. We will know that there is no middleman because they stand as a middleman. Fan on mado mado. Fan on mado mado more. That is it. And the fact that I say this does not mean I'm standing with Israel or I'm standing with Palestine. Because both of these people, they never mean well to us, for us. Historically, Palestinians sold our people for slaves. Israel also buy our people for slaves. Both of them. Any of you who knows history, that's the way it is. But because we are people who stand for humanity, we stand for humanity. We stand for humanity. Because what is happening to Palestinians happened to us. But the fact that the Palestinians started it, we didn't start it. We never started it. In fact, not Palestinian actually. Palestinian didn't start it. It was Hamas. And Hamas has been declared terrorist. So Hamas is supposed to be the Israel target. We're not supposed to be hearing children were bombed, hospitals were bombed, refugee camp were bombed, schools were bombed. Because our people are all over the place also. Our people might be in that refugee camp that was bombed. You never know. Because Nigeria is chasing away everybody. And every country is a new one for us. A brand new one for us. As long as you live after you move away from Nigeria. So that refugee camp that was bombed could be a Nigerian, it could contain a Nigerian person. Which Nigerian government will come and tell you one Nigeria died in the refugee camp in Gaza? They don't have time to finish eating their money and put the money that belongs to you and them in pocket to go and check statistics of how many Nigeria are dying in Gaza. They won't tell you that. They won't. So that is the reason why you should always stand for humanity. You should stand for humanity, not friendship. We are better human beings than all of these people. We are better human beings than all of these people. Because if we begin to count how evil these people has been against us, we are not going to stand for anything. But because we are better human beings, we wrote the book that is influencing the whole world. Our ancestors wrote the book called the Bible that is influencing the whole world because we are better human beings. And we will make a better leader if we have the opportunity to be there. And that is opportunity we must create for ourselves. This generation, we can. Only if you want. It is me, you, and every other person. If we agree together, we boycott and we innovate, that is going to change our fate. Until we meet again, stay safe and stay informed. Bye for now.